Hi, my name is Pam Denny. I'm the designer and architect of the Maximo BI or Business Intelligence tools. In this series of recordings, I'm going to highlight some of the new Maximo 76 Cognos features. I'll talk at a top level about the variety of Cognos products that you are entitled to with the Maximo 76 release, and we'll focus on the report development options and how those options can be utilized to produce contents for Cognos workspaces or dashboards. So to get started, let's review the Maximo Cognos product entitlement. As this slide shows, there's two main areas of products that you are entitled to with Maximo 76. The first is the Cognos BI server. This is the largest component and also contains the tools that you will utilize for the majority of your report development and viewing needs. Within the BI server is a portal, and the portal is the launching point to all the different Cognos products. Those products include Cognos Connection, where you can view reports, Cognos Administration, two of the report development tools, Report Studio and Query Studio, and then the suite of newest Cognos tools, Cognos Workspace and Workspace Advanced, and also Cognos Framework Manager. Framework Manager is actually a separate Windows install, but it's typically contained within the bucket or category of the Cognos BI server, and that's the tool you use to create and modify your metadata. The other Cognos products you are entitled to include Cognos Insight, Lifecycle Manager, and Dynamic Query Analyzer. And each one of those tools is very, very important, but again, we're going to highlight and focus on those key report tools that we will use on a day-to-day basis within the BI server. Two of those tools I've highlighted in red because that's going to be the main focus of this series, and specifically as I get into a demo where I show those tools and how you can create content and include them on the dashboards. So let's look at these report development tools and other products that you have with Cognos in a little bit more depth. As I mentioned, the Cognos BI server contains a number of different Cognos products. You can launch to Cognos directly from Maximo, either via the Analytics menu or from a Maximo application, or your power users can directly launch or sign into the Cognos tool. When they bring up Cognos Connection, there's a number of different tools they can launch to. Cognos Admin, Report Studio, Cognos Workspace Advanced, Query Studio, and Cognos Workspace. I highlighted them here in this diagram to highlight or to showcase that each one of these tools is intended for a specific user. That user has a set of skill sets, has a set of business cases, and each one of those tools is targeted towards those users. So as we show on this slide, the technical skill sets of our users increase as we move up, and so therefore those tools are targeting and have much more capability as we move up the vertical spectrum. So let's start at the very top. Our Cognos admin, intended for the very technical administrator in your facility, whether he's a Maximo administrator or a report administrator. He has an understanding and an ability to import and export content. He's going to set security privileges. He's going to maintain the server, make sure the mail server is up, and that everything is functioning properly within the Maximo Cognos environment. Then as we move into the middle of our diagram here, we have three different report development tools that are available to you. The first is the traditional enterprise tool. It's called Report Studio. That's where you would go when you need a report that's going to be accessed by a number of different people. It's got to be, it's going to be very complex. It's got to be available all the time, and you want to make that time and financial investment in making that. And the person creating that report is a very skilled technical individual. That's Report Studio. And the center of the diagram, or what we call our sweet spot, is our power user. This user doesn't have the depth of technical skills as a report developer, but he's very familiar with the Maximo database. He's very familiar with doing some analysis of the data. And so we want him to utilize Cognos Workspace Advanced to develop those one-off reports to meet his individual needs. Our business user down here, he doesn't have, again, the depth of the skill sets, but he's still extremely knowledgeable. And he can utilize Query Studio to create those simple ad hoc report development tools. And with the Query Studio, he's going to be able to create ad hoc reports that have calculations and have graphs, so there's extensive capability available. And then on the bottom is our application user. This person wants to really view report content. He's not going to actually develop it. So he's going to utilize Cognos Workspaces in many ways, but there's also other tools to view content in Cognos. So let's drill down and look specifically at these 4 tools: Report Studio, Workspace Advanced, Query Studio, and Workspace, so you can start to understand a little bit more and a little bit more of the use cases of each one. As I mentioned, Report Studio is our traditional enterprise report development tool. It's where you're going to invest time and money. The developer is very skilled. He is used to utilizing a number of different report development tools. To utilize Report Studio definitely requires training classes. Some people say it takes weeks, months to learn all the nuances of this tool, but it's going to give you the depth of functionality that you may need for those enterprise reports. If we switch over, now let's look at the power user. The power user doesn't have those depth of the skills, but oftentimes we need reports quickly that meet one-off business or user needs, and Cognos Workspace Advanced is a tremendous tool to do that. It is actually a subset of the entire components of Report Studio. So if you think of Report Studio as having, 1,000 different features, Cognos Workspace Advanced might have, 750 of those features, right? It's a smaller subset, but the subset it enables is extremely powerful. And what's beautiful about this is it doesn't have the depth of the learning curve because you don't have to know about all those nuances, and you can quickly utilize this tool. There's numerous documents available on Cognos Workspace Advanced, numerous videos available, and again, it's that simplified version of Report Studio where you can create beautiful, powerful reports. Then the other report development tool that's available is the Query Studio. Again, this has a smaller set of features, but it has practical use cases in many areas for a user who might need to create a simple ad hoc report in Cognos. These reports can only be accessed in Cognos. They can't be registered to Maximo. They can't be added to a workspace. And the other thing I want to highlight is because this tool has been around for some time in Cognos, Cognos is actually working towards retiring it. So you may want to limit your time and investment in learning this tool. But again, it's very powerful and it can meet a number of use cases that you have today. And then last is our Cognos Workspace. Workspace is like that blank palette where you're going to bring in a number of individual reports and have them display in a simple or a single location. There's a few examples shown here where we have 4 different individual reports, and the report is simply a graph that is brought in to create a very powerful workspace so I can view all this content at once. I don't have to go back and navigate and find all this different reports. I can see all my information in one dashboard in one workspace so I can analyze it. So what are we going to do in this series of demos? Well, I've highlighted those tools at a top level, but now let's see how we can utilize them. So what we're going to do is we're going to start in Cognos Workspace Advanced, and we're going to create a report. That report's going to have a few different graphs on it. It's also going to have traditional report content with some details, and we'll do some grouping and sorting and calculations and reformatting of the data. And once we have that report saved in Cognos Workspace Advanced, we're going to then open up the Cognos Workspace product and create a brand new workspace or a brand new dashboard. We'll bring over those individual components, and then we can show them on the Cognos Workspace, which would then be shared with your different users, again, for those people who aren't creating the content, but who need to view the content on a daily basis. So again, to highlight what we've talked about today, with Maximo76, you're directly entitled to a number of Cognos products. The main Cognos product is the BI server, which contains all the different tools for your administration, report development, and viewing needs. 3 different tools for report development are included: Report Studio, Cognos Workspace Advanced, and Query Studio. And these are the tools as shown here in terms of technical skill set. What we're going to focus on are the newest set or suite of Cognos tools, Cognos Workspace Advanced and Cognos Workspace. And in the next series, I'm going to show you how you open up Cognos Workspace Advanced and start creating those reports. So thank you very much for your time.